So a couple weeks ago, we showed you some of these ideas to do mail art, or snail mail is what people call it now. And it's so special when you get this because no one does it anymore. So I thought we would give you a couple ideas and concepts on some different stationery and snail mail that you can send out to your friends and family or just to have fun making it. So the two concepts we're going to learn today are how to make a mask and how to make a stencil of the exact same item, and I'm going to show you in this tutorial why you need both. So these were this is what we're going to actually be doing today, and these are just some other ideas using the same concepts. If you'd really like to and you don't want to stamp, we just used a regular envelope on this one and used some old ephemera, some old bingo cards, and I cut out some tags, and I had embossed some paper that I put onto the front of it. This was some other fun art paper that we made, and you could actually use it as stationery on the back or tape it onto the front of a box. And we just have a variety of different things here, just different themes, but doing some embossing, some taping, a little bit of 3D. This is probably one of my favorites, is repurposing the old Trader Joe bags. If you guys have one in your area, and then all I did is just sew a vintage image of a postcard on the front, and then I cut out my template and put it together. These ones here were kind of fun. I wanted to make something interesting to write on. It takes a little time, but if you have somebody that you really love and you'd really like to send them something different, you're just gonna sew your lines and you're gonna write on the lines. And then we cut out some fun trees and made a 3D little tree here. But what's fun about this one is by the time you fold it up and lay it flat, it's not gonna be in your way. And here's another one. All we did is add a tag and sewed our lines on. And if you really want fun envelopes, but you don't want to do all the work, just find some great scrapbook paper and a template. On Pinterest, you can find hundreds of different envelope templates and just cut it out and put it together and add your stationery inside. Okay, so we are going to start doing our envelope. So decide what size envelope you're going to use, whether it's big or small, or who you're sending it to, and what type of a theme or what you want to do with it. So what I'm going to do with this one is, I showed you the flower with the bird, and I'm going to be using the bird as the mask to write the address in. So depending on what you want to do, you could use any shape or size, depending on what your theme is, for your mask for the address. And actually, we're just going to have this down in here. So what you first of all need to do is we're going to make a mask and then like a reverse mask, which is kind of like a stencil. So I'm just gonna stamp this on something twice, and I'm not gonna be cutting out the feet on this, but I'm just gonna stamp it all real quick, and I don't need it to be perfect ink, so I'll just stamp it again right here. Okay, so you're gonna need to cut these out. So one of these is gonna be like a stencil. So what I do is I'm literally just gonna make a hole in the center and cut around it, because you don't want the edges. So this one we're gonna cut as a mask. So what you're gonna do is just cut on the outside edges. So this is kind of what you're gonna have when you're done. You're gonna have one that's a solid piece and one that is just like a stencil of it. And you can see I didn't do the feet. So after you've got your pieces cut out, the first thing I'm gonna do is do the area where I am gonna have your address. So this envelope isn't really huge, but this is gonna work really well. I decided I'm gonna go with this a light gold, and I'm just using chalk. You could actually just take a Q-tip and some ink, chalk, use watercolors, whatever you like. This, to me, just really works fast and easy. You know, and I was gonna go just with the light blue, but I really like the two colors together. Okay, so I'm gonna take the other side of this, and you can can see how that is already. Let's see, I can't remember which is blue. And just kind of go over the edges a little bit. The nice thing is if you want it lighter, you can always put a lighter color on or just kind of rub some of it off. And if you want it darker, just grab dark color and put it around the edges. I just like the way this looked. You don't want it too dark that you can't write your address on. Let me see, do I want a little darker around? Maybe I'll add a little more blue just around the edges. Just a little, let's grab a little darker blue just for the edges. And you just want to be careful when you're holding your paper. You know, if you go from the outside in, it's probably better, but you know, I don't even always take my own advice. Sometimes I just get going. But you just don't want it to go underneath. And then just keep looking at it. You know what? That's kind of pretty. Let me just add a little more to the beak though. You know, a lot of this is just going to be trial and error, and after you've done a few, you'll know what you like. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp my flower. And I'm using this gold, one of the colors that's in the bird. It just feels like it'll set it off really, really nicely. So what you're going to want to do is, since you don't want to go over that, that's why you have this mask. And you just want to be really careful. Actually, if you're really, really good and you use the Post-it notes and it's got a little bit of sticky on it, it'll hold it down nicely. But it seems like every time I do that, I always end up cutting around everything except for the sticky part. I'm just going to try to put him more over to the right. Just going to be really careful I don't move the mask. And here we go. And we're just going to press. And even with the flower, if you wanted to, you could use some chalk and color it in a little. Let's make sure we got it all. Okay, let's see. Oh my, that is really pretty. That came out really, really nice. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to use a little bit of this light blue just in these edges, but I'm going to make it really, really faint. And I'm just going to go up to where the flower is and not getting too close to the tail. And it's going to be really faint, but I think it's going to be enough that it's just going to add a little pop. And on this corner where the flower isn't, okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little darker blue. And you could have even used chalk on the edges, but I think I'm just going to use a little darker blue, this China blue, and do a real careful line along the edge just to outline the envelope. I don't know if you can see this. You don't want to press too hard or it'll bleed all the way up. And actually, if you used a dark blue ink, that would just be beautiful to write an address on. If you really wanted to, you could even use another color and color in the flower with some chalk. Okay, so I decided I do want his feet on there. So I'm just taking my black stamp pad, because I don't have my gray here right now. So, and I'm gonna stamp it a couple times before I stamp it on my actual envelope. So I put black just right where the feet are. Stamp once, stamp twice, and I have my little mask on here, and then let's just stamp, and let's see how dark, oh, well, it came out a little darker than I thought, but that's still kind of cute. And there we go. So you find the envelopes and decide what type of design you want to use. So what I did was I cut a stencil and a mask. You put it on your envelope. I used chalks. Then I stamped my image. I did some chalking around and I just stamped the feet. This one I added a little bit of chalk into the flower. Now if you're worried about really after you let it set for a little bit, it really does stay on. So I don't think you have to worry too much about that. But have fun making these. Come up with something creative.